Now, 95.9 FM WATD presents Friends with Benefits, exploring relationships, social issues, and life stories. Be a part of the show at 781-837-4900. Friends with Benefits, with your host, Brian Stratton.
95.9 WATD, Friends with Benefits here on a Wednesday night. Post Red Sox World Series. They are champions. We were bumped many times because they're Wednesday night escapades, but we are glad to be back on the air. How you doing, Jake Gillespie?
I'm doing really good, Brian. How you doing?
Doing pretty well. I'm looking forward to the next string of shows coming up for our show.
Yeah, when are the Red Sox back on? Not till next summer? This is like amazing. Another world championship.
Only 75 days till spring training.
Right.
Yep.
I'm ready. I'm going to come back as a spot left-handed reliever this year. That's my goal.
They could have used you.
Seeing as how I'm right-handed, so I figure at this age I can come back as a left-handed spot reliever and sort of make my break.
Speaking of left-handed, Paul Kearney. No, that's underhanded. No, that's right.
Yeah.
Right-handed.
Right.
Because he's our right-hand man. Paul Kearney's on the way. He was in Boston doing some very important business, but he'll be here. He'll be here. We do have a special guest. We have quite a few segments tonight. We're going to break up the show, but I'd like to introduce Matthew Martin, the regional manager of the Outreach Incorporated, which is Matthew, how are you doing, first of all?
How you doing, Matt? Welcome
I'm
to the
doing
show.
quite well, thank you.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about Outreach, because this is something we met in at a business expo, and I was fascinated by its End Hunger New England. It seems like it's an outfit that tries to feed the hungry children, right?
Yeah, a lot of people don't know the extent of the hunger that we have. I live right here in Marshfield. I travel all over New England, New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey. Wherever I go, there's hunger. And when I share the statistics, like Plymouth County, 44,000 hungry people, 14,000 of them are children, people are shocked. I talk about hunger on the Cape. I mean, they expect it in big cities, Boston, Providence, but they don't think it's everywhere in our country.
Well, you gave me some. I've really done my research with your outfit called Outreach, which is a national. It covers all the United States, and a really cool percentage was 97% of the money goes to the food for the kids, right?
Yep, into the meal packaging machine is what I say.
97%. So 3% is administrative costs.
Yep, and next to no fundraising or advertising, so we rely on people to go to our website. The Northeast website is End Hunger NE. NE stands for New England or Northeast.org. So endhungerne.org. We also have a Facebook page we've got over 500 likes on now. And that's really how we communicate with people, that there's hungry kids. We need to feed them. It's really simple. We just had an event here in Marshfield on Saturday. We did another 11,000 meals. Wow. We'll just spread them out. The meals for this package went to Marshfield. They went to Weymouth, Rockland, and Brockton. So right around on the South Shore where the need is. And we got some people fed just because people were generous, gave some money. A quarter will feed a kid. $1 feeds a family of 4. A bunch of people showed up, dozens at a time for several hours on a Saturday afternoon. We package the meals up, and then we give them free to those food shelves. One was to a community college food shelf, which is happening more and more nowadays.
Jay.
So good to hear that only 3% goes towards administrative, too, because we've talked about this in the past.
You
about
bet.
Charities, where the money goes, and it's nice to see sort of a grassroots organization where the money goes right to the source. Really good to hear.
Well, Jay, it was interesting because I was throwing some factoids over Matthew's way about, I talked about the March of Dimes, where only a dime goes to, out of every dollar, goes to the cause, a dime.
And it's only in March.
Yeah.
So 90%, 90 cents out of every dollar goes to administration and advertising, promotion. It's too much money. So, and then you look at what the CEO makes, which is $700,000
at least.
Wow.
And then there's other officers in the ranks there that are probably making $250,000. I'm not going to quote that, but it's pretty close.
Yeah, and we saw Matt's Lamborghini, outside.
Yeah, so, my cargo van.
Yeah.
I know it looks like he's wearing a tuxedo, but it's only a T-shirt.
Yeah, he's got his
it's a
posse with
tuxedo
him.
T-shirt. Yeah. No, but Matthew, him and I had probably a 2-hour conversation because I don't like to publicize organizations, and I don't really believe the money is going to the cause or as much as I think should be. And Matthew even got out his tax forms from last year, looking them over, and his salary is such a modest salary that, I mean, if your wife has to work, let's put it that way.
Yep.
Your wife has to work to make this work, and really the cool thing about outreach is that, and I don't know if it's cool, but I was impressed because if you don't work, you don't get paid.
Yeah. Yep.
So why don't we tell the listeners a little bit about how that works? Because I want to get this over with, so we know that this isn't a organization that's just basically funding chief officers and CEOs.
Yeah. Basically, the way it works is the whole thing was started 9 years ago. There was a retired couple from Iowa that got the thing rolling. The CEO, president, whatever you want to call it, makes $0, and his wife makes $50,000 a year. I have compared what we do to other organizations around here that do kind of the same type of thing. Most of their meals go overseas. They're a quarter or more per serving, and they don't have the Charity Navigator rating that we have. We have the 4-star. They've got the 3 stars. Their chief officers make a heck of a lot more than ours do. And it's a situation where if you're in this type of thing to make a bunch of money, you're not in it for the right reason. I'm in it so a lot of hungry kids get to eat.
Sure.
I have 2 little kids at home, and when we first started this, I used to be a pastor in Quincy, and pastors don't make a lot of money, but you've got a little more job security in terms of you're going to preach every Sunday, they're going to pay you every 2 weeks. And I moved down to Marshfield, joined Sanctuary, and just started packaging meals and preaching and talking to whoever I could. And that first fall was really lean. Now after 2.5 years, we're just getting to the point where we feel like I'm for sure going to be able to feed my own kids and pay my own rent. But to look at some of these other organizations where you give $1 and even 80 or 85 cents goes into the meal packing machine, and they feed kids in Africa and Haiti and wherever else the need is, basically everywhere else but in our neighborhood.
Sure.
1 out of 4 kids, 1 out of 5 kids in our country is hungry. That's
which is a huge,
way too many kids.
It's 25%. Yeah, right.
So when we package meals, they don't have to go very far. They don't have to go overseas. They don't have to leave the county, quite frankly. And so I've experienced what it's like to have kids and be hungry. A lot of people don't know that in our country, if you're in your 20s and you got little kids, there's a 37% chance you're going to be living below the poverty level.
Wow.
They just cut food stamps again. They're
it doesn't
not getting
surprise
a
me.
living wage.
No, it doesn't surprise me the way things are going right now. It's getting worse and worse economically, which I'm sure, of course, the White House is, and that administration is trying to spin things a certain way for you to believe things, but you're on the streets and you see what it's like.
Yep, and now there is a food shelf in every community on the South Shore. When we first started packaging meals, so started our 3rd school year now here in New England, Duxbury opened a food pantry with our meals. Now every single community on the South Shore has a food shelf. There are hungry people in every community, and if we can do these events often, Sanctuary does one every 6 months, and we blanket the South Shore with meals. If more and more groups, it doesn't have to be churches. I've worked with businesses, schools, service clubs, the United Way, Scouts. I mean, anybody who cares that there's hungry people in our county and can come up with a little bit of money and come up with some hands to put the meals together, and we can bless local food shelf. So if you're listening and you are a local food shelf, go to endhungerany.org, click on receive, and email me and say, I'd like to get some of those meals. We do a mac and cheese, we do a beans and rice. We're the only organization that does those 2 meals.
Sure.
They're patent pending, and we're getting them out locally. The other ones are going overseas. They're veggie and rice. There's hungry kids there too, but when there's hungry kids here, we need to feed the kids here.
We're speaking with Matthew Martin of the Outreach Incorporated End Hunger New England. Matthew, so getting back to where the money goes with these charities, and sure we saw with the United Way, and there's scrutiny amongst most of them. We did find out that St. Jude's, the cancer hospital, a majority of their money is in the right place. You know, what did you say, 75%?
Yep.
Is that what we saw?
Yeah,
we found?
if you want to know about any charities that have any type of wherewithal, they're on Charity Navigator. So everybody's online all the time now. You go to Charity Navigator and you can type in the name of the charity, and it will show that charity and comparable charities that do the same thing.
Okay.
Their ratings, how much goes of every dollar you give there. I have not found one yet of all the charities I've looked at everywhere trying to compare someone to Outreach who does 97% or more into the machine.
And
the cause.
let's talk about this a little bit, the 97%. Now, you personally, there are how many of you throughout the United States that are working regions? How many?
Yep. So when I contacted Outreach 27 months ago, I said, I live in South Shore, Boston. I want to do what you do, but I want to do it all the time.
Okay.
And they said, you're the only gap we have in the entire country. There are 20 of us from the home office to out in all of the regions all over the country.
Midwest, Southwest, North.
Everywhere.
Yep.
We cover
but the
everywhere
Northeast did not have representation.
Nope. So I covered 9 states.
Okay.
I got a cargo van, and I'll drive a day, and I can reach 8 million hungry people.
Now, what I found pretty fascinating was that you need to package and get donations just in order for you to stay alive in this thing. You're not getting a check automatic.
That's right.
This is basically commission for you, which I think I thought about it. At first I said, that's kind of funny. You know, it's commission. But now I think about it, what if all these charities were commission?
Yeah. Yep.
It would be a much different situation than a CEO making $700,000.
Yep.
You know, in the margin, you've got to do a ton of volume just to make
a living.
just to pay your bills, like you said.
But thankfully, I always have meals to eat if we run short.
Because you're gonna eat beans and
cheese.
I package them all the time.
Beans and rice and macaroni and cheese.
Yeah,
Why not?
and the mac and cheese is actually my son's favorite meal. Malachi is 7, and we eat that about once a week. And
Do you
then
really?
The other meal, we make the beans and rice with a little bit of tomato soup and some cheese on top. We call it hash. We have that about every other week just because they like it. Not necessarily because we have to. Some months it's like that, but lately we've been packaging a lot of meals, so we're doing okay. We can feed ourselves, but they still want to eat the meals because they know there's 21 vitamins and minerals and 11 grams of protein in every serving. So I always say it's the least expensive, most nutritious meal the food shelf clients have ever eaten.
Sure, yes.
And a lot of people are going to the food shelf for the very first time ever because they just cannot make it.
We're speaking with Matthew Martin of the Outreach Corporation and Hunger New England. And we had a good 2-hour discussion a couple weeks ago about all this stuff. But what was more eye-opening was that how close to home these problems. You said there's homeless kids that are living in cars in towns like Quincy and Brockton and neighboring towns, which are very close to the greater South Shore of Marshfield, Duxbury, Pembroke. I mean, and I'm sure you know people, kids even in close by here, right?
I always say unless you live in a gated community, you can see hungry kids from your front steps because one out of every 4 or 5 is hungry. Like your kid, if they're not your kids, they're your kids' friends. 1 out of every 45 kids in our country is homeless, which as I travel all over the Northeast, those are the two kind of twin problems. When people don't have enough, they're either food insecure or housing insecure. They just can't make whatever money they have spread far enough. You know, they got medical care, you know, they've got clean water to drink usually, if they got to get it out of a fountain, whatever they can cover some of the other things, but it gets cold, you got to pay the heat bill, you don't know if you can pay your rent. You got to feed your kids.
You got to make decisions.
Yeah, I always call it.
Jay keeps the cable on.
Not enough peanut butter, too much bread.
Yeah, Matthew, I got to tell you too. It's so good to hear. We've talked about on this show before how important it is to keep things local, to keep businesses local, to keep politics local, and it's nice. People are always looking for this far-reaching charitable donations that are going to go to the planet Jupiter and things like that. But I mean, this stuff is right in our own backyards, and it's so good to actually hear you come in here and talk about that and to help people recognize that this stuff is right here in our backyards.
Well, and the solution to it is local. I always say everybody's got some money, everybody's got some time to put into this. The average family of 4 in our country will spend $2,800 celebrating Christmas, whether or not they're Christian, just on gifts and food and whatever. If that same family lived in New England, and took about 2% of that amount. It'd be $56, put it into the meal packaging, did it with us for 22 minutes a year. And everybody throughout New England, 12.5 million people who did that, who had food, did that. The other 2 million get to eat every day, the most nutritious meal they've ever had.
So you solved it. That's just simple math.
Yeah, and again, this is the problem with, we've talked about all this social networking and social media and all these different things, and people think we're living in a much more social world, but the fact of the matter is that the people that you should be social with are the people that are right around you, the people in your neighborhood, the people in your local towns and cities. These are the people you should be supporting. These are the people you should be looking to, not looking over to get to the rest of the world. I think that's so important, so it's good to hear.
Yep, and one plug I wanted to make, especially since Thanksgiving is coming up in a few weeks here, is Girard Turkey Farm is now our loading dock. We're
right in Marshfield, great
right
family.
down the street from where I warehouse my stuff, but I don't have a loading dock. So Mark said, you can use our loading dock. It is the only way that we can still offer these meals for a quarter a serving.
Sure. Girard's
Because
Turkey
they
Farm.
give us their loading dock.
And by the way, they have some of the best food you're going to get anywhere.
Arnie Girard.
Is that amazing?
Yeah.
Yeah, Artie and Mark Girard.
Yep, and they're incredible
Salt
people.
of the earth. Yeah, great people.
Support them because they support us. So when you go there, you're feeding hungry kids, because you help them, they help us. That's the way it works.
Well, they're big in this community. They're a big family in this South Shore community. They they do a lot of this kind of stuff, know, and it goes under the radar too. It's like people don't know, but it's good that you mentioned that. What's your website?
So just go to endhungerne.org. And then if you're on Facebook, same thing. You just do Facebook/endhungerne. EndHungerne.org. Look, if you can't get this, you're driving, you can't write it down, email us at ctamanagement@rocketmail.com. That's ctamanagement@rocketmail.com. And we will get you Matthew's information, the Facebook, the website, any information, any way you can help this organization. And we still have, I still want to continue with this, Matt. You say there's hungry kids, there's homeless kids in Quincy. Now, you talk about the Cape. I know the economy's really hit the Cape hard. Yep.
So what have you seen down there over the bridge?
Yeah, I've been doing church stuff and feeding people here now for 19 years. So I've seen a lot of stuff going on. I travel a lot now. I talk to a lot of different kind of people, and I'm always lifting up their local hunger situation. But just an hour from Marshfield, if you drive to the east, a lot of times I'm driving everywhere else, but I've done a ton of meals on the Cape because in Hyannis, there's a place called the Kennedy Compound, a lot of wealth. Everybody thinks Cape Cod. I know when we first came to New England, Cape Cod is where all the rich people are. Well, there is an elementary school called West Hyannis Elementary School. 88% of their students are food insecure. The principal hands these meals out in their backpacks. Nobody expects that.
Wow.
If I was going to drive an hour from my house and find poverty, they're not thinking Cape Cod, Mid-Cape.
But it's all over the Cape.
It's all over the Cape. It's the Cape's got 23,000 hungry people, 6,000 hungry children. Every county around here, I can throw out the stats, but it's too many. It's thousands. It's tens of thousands. It's Middlesex County in Boston is the hungriest county in New England. 130-something thousand people.
Middlesex, are you talking west of Boston, Framingham area?
So you've got Middlesex, Suffolk. Those are in Boston. Suffolk is the poorest, but Middlesex is the hungriest.
Wow.
Maine, rural Maine, tons of hunger. I mean, everywhere you go.
Well, before we go to commercial break, I know, and it's great, we're going to keep you here, Matt, because we want to talk more about this. We actually have restaurant gift cards to give away. So you're not hungry out there. $50 gift cards. The Sun Tavern has generously donated a $50 gift card for tonight's show. So as in Sangs, you know what Sangs is?
I do.
And it's in Hanover.
Yeah.
It's a Chinese place. If you'd like to, at CTA Management at rocketmail.com, put in the subject heading gift card giveaway. We'll put you in the hat, and you can be the lucky winner. Each week we're giving away $50 gift cards to these local great restaurants. Once again, it's the Sun Tavern of Duxbury and Sang's. It's like Asian cuisine. That's right in Hanover, Mass. And there's another one in the second half of the show that we'll go over too.
But it's not the York Steakhouse.
It's not the York Steakhouse. So we're going to go to commercial break. We'll be right back. Friends with Benefits 95.9 WATD.
Hi, this is Darrell Hall, and you're listening to my friend Brian Stratton on 95.9 WATD.
Impressions Detailing of Duxbury is your #1 source for auto detailing on the South Shore. Owner Mike Ferreira and his staff have years of auto detailing experience. Located next to Jeeps and Buggies on 1474 Tremont Street of Duxbury, Impressions Detailing also provides window tinting and headlight restoration. They service sedans, small SUVs, and large SUVs or trucks. Contact Impressions Detailing at 781-934-2935 or by email at impressionsdetail@yahoo.com. That telephone number again, 781-934-2935. Impressions Detailing of Duxbury.
Hey, it's Brian Stratton, and I'd like to talk to you about Mamma Mia's restaurant. With 5 convenient locations around the South Shore, you don't have to drive far to enjoy delicious Italian cuisine, just the way you like it. Whether you're in Carver, Plymouth, Hanover, Kingston, or the new location in Green Harbor, Mamma Mia's is something to please any palate. Catering, gift cards, and takeout are available 7 days a week. Contact Mamma Mia's online at mamamias.net. That's mamamias.net.
Experience the Atlantis Sports Club difference. Atlantis Sports Club and Spas are located throughout Massachusetts, including locations in Braintree, Holbrook, and Hyannis, featuring state-of-the-art cardiovascular and strength training equipment, plus indoor and outdoor pools and full-service spas. Atlantis offers something for everyone. How about Zumba, spinning, and strength training classes, swim lessons for the kids, or a luxurious spa treatment? Your Atlantis membership allows access to all locations. Atlantis Braintree, located off the highway across from the South Shore Plaza, features beautiful indoor and outdoor pools. You'll find the newest Holbrook location next to Stop and Shop with plenty of parking and a spacious floor plan. Take a mini vacation at Atlantis Sports Club and Spa in Hyannis. Play golf, then relax by the resort-style pool. End the day with a relaxing treatment at the spa at Atlantis. Mention this ad and receive 20% off any spa treatment. Experience the Atlantis difference today. Visit AtlantisSportsClubs.com and book your tour today. The law office of Philip M. Markella is a full-service law firm with a focus on family and divorce law. When your marriage dissolves, Phil's office will help you navigate those often rough waters. They'll represent your interests with respect and compassion. The law office of Philip M. Markella also assists with estate planning, real estate transactions, and adoptions. Get in touch with the law office of Philip M. Markella, 19 Depot Street, Duxbury. Their telephone number, 781-934-7977, 781-934-7977, and on the web at markellalaw.com. That's MARKELLA law.com.
95.9 WATD, Friends with Benefits here with Matthew Martin of the Outreach Corporation and Hunger New England. Also, Paul Kearney has just meandered and found his way into the studio. Hey, Paul.
Hey, Brian. Thanks for having me.
He's at Atlanta Sports Clubs, which is they have many gyms all around New England. Hyannis, as we were just speaking with Matthew. You have in Hyannis, Braintree, Holbrook, where else? Jersey, Danvers, everywhere.
Yeah, we just came from the bridal show up in Danvers. That was fun.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yep.
I told my partner, maybe I'll find him a bride, and he's like,
he wants to keep the club, all right?
Yeah.
He wants to keep he wants his percentage, all right? But so let's get back to what we were talking about here, End Hunger New England. And once again, CTA Management at rocketmail.com. On the phone lines, if anybody would like to chime in or talk, 781-837-4900. That's 781-837-4900. Some interesting facts about hunger throughout the United States. Do you want to tell us a little bit?
Yep. So I always tell folks whenever we do an event, we've done 281 events now. On our planet, there are 842 million hungry folks, 1 out of every 8. In our country, it's 1 out of every 6. And as we just said, for children, it's 1 out of every 4 or 5. So outreach has worked with any number of folks. Jeff Gordon did a million meal package in North Carolina at a NASCAR race last year. They did a study comparing our mac and cheese meals to Kraft. Ours are just way nutritious off the page, very, very inexpensive, has half as expensive as Kraft is to produce because we do it all with volunteers. I actually just talked with someone locally here, Dirty Deeds in Pembroke, and we were chatting about what I do. And I said, I've worked with 26,000 people, all volunteers. I'm the only one that's on staff in these 9 states. So it's really a grassroots movement. It's really solving the hunger problem in the United States in our own counties. So if you go down from the country down to the Commonwealth, I mentioned before 2 million hungry people in New England, but if you look just at Massachusetts now, for 5 years in a row, the hunger numbers have grown. We're up to 810,000 hungry people just in the Commonwealth. That's a high, record high, 20 years they've been
Matt,
taking stats.
And the fact of the matter is it has to be a grassroots movement.
Yep, it has
because
to be.
if the money that's coming in for these meals are going to administration, promotion, advertising, it's going to eat up all the funds, and there's going to be no meals for the kids, and it's just going to be like any other business is throwing out cogs. You follow?
Yeah, and if we rely on the government, 6 years before I was born, the United States basically ended hunger in the United States. It was 1968. By the time Ronald Reagan was in office and I was my son's age, Malachi is 7, there was 10 million hungry people. There's now 50 million.
Right.
And they're cutting food stamps and not allowing people to have a livable wage. Like you can work 2 jobs and not make enough to feed your family.
The good news that honestly, I think we should just fire the government altogether when it comes to feeding families because they do a terrible job.
Yeah.
These Meals on Wheels. I mean, when I ran for office, I went and investigated the food that we're actually giving children. First of all, is terrible.
Yeah. Yep.
And then with the seniors are not even eating it because it's not even food. I mean, what you were talking about, how you make your mac and cheese is real food, it has nutrients and vitamins in it.
Yep.
Versus Kraft has dyes and chemicals, and I wouldn't even give that to my kid.
Yeah.
And we were just talking just 2 seconds ago off the air on how you can be rich and not eat well. Well, the kids that are eating in your food are eating nutritious food. So if you're feeding your kids Kraft and my kid's poor and he's eating your food, my kid's eating better than the person that's buying the Kraft because they've been basically commercialized to thinking that that's actually good for their kid, and when it has dyes and colors and
for sure.
all sorts of all the other things.
We got a phone call on the line. Gene, you're on the line. How are you doing?
Thank you. I have a question, please.
Sure. Shoot.
Okay.
What are the parameters you use, and how do you document those parameters to define hunger in terms of the statistics you're giving?
Yep. All the stats that I get and use and all the work that I do comes from Feeding America. Feeding America is basically the food banks all over our country. They're domestic. They feed folks in the states and counties that they're in. There's a Feeding America food bank that covers every county in America. The Buffett Foundation several years ago funded a study that will happen annually that will determine precisely the raw numbers and the percentages of hungry people in every county in the United States. So if you want to know about hunger in your local area, just go to feedingamerica.org. There's something called Map the Meal Gap, and click on that. And every spring I get all new stats. So if you want to know the stats just for the Northeast, you can go right to our endhungerne.org site, and you can click on a food insecurity document. It pulls it up, and it will tell you exactly what you're looking for in any given county.
Well, I'm not looking for the stats. I'm looking for the parameters to get to the statistics.
So you're basically wondering, are we talking about 3 square meals a day? Is that what you mean?
Well, that's what I'm asking you. What's the measurement?
Yeah, so if you're on that site and you're looking at those stats, it talks about food insecurity and what that actually means. In a simplest of all terms, it's not really knowing where your next meal is going to come from about 60% of the year. So you're looking to feed your kids, and most of the time, you just don't know where you're going to get the food, whether or not it's healthy. There's a lot of Kraft mac and cheese at food shelves. When you eat our meals, you're actually going to get nutrition.
But some of it sounds like anecdotal in terms of a person tells you I'm not arguing with your stats particularly. I'm just curious about the background.
Yeah, I just know there's people in the trenches that
is saying, "Well, I'm not sure where my next meal is coming from." That's anecdotal, not.
Yeah, you just do not have the resources to cover everything, and you have to pick between food and paying your electric bill, or putting gas into your car to get to your part-time job or minimum wage job, or feeding your children. You just don't have enough to get everything covered.
Absolutely. It's a great question, Gene, too, because I'm sure a lot of people out there need to know the same kind of information you want to know.
And I think it shows the normal skepticism with charities. And I mean, we do wonder, when you say that X number of people are hungry, or X number of people are food insecure, like that kind of thing, like to think of what does that exactly mean? So it's a decent question.
But the good thing I could say about outreach is I did a ton of research on this, and I kept referring and using Matt as a reference. That in my investigation, I found that they were certainly extremely legit, because I wouldn't have anybody on the show that wasn't.
Correct.
So thanks for calling, Gene.
Thank you.
All right. So, Matt, we talked about Mississippi.
Yeah, so I was in Worcester this spring. There's a movie that has come out. A lot of places are airing it. It's called The Place at the Table, and it gives you a picture of the problem of hunger in America. And one of the many things that you see throughout the movie is that Mississippi has the highest food insecurity rate and the highest obesity rate. So a lot of people think when you're heavy, it's because you've got so much food, you're just eating too much and you're lazy. Well, the truth is, if you're just eating empty calories, I don't know if you've ever gone to the grocery store and you saw the milk cost $4.29 a gallon, but that 2-liter of Coke is 88 cents this week, and your kids are thirsty, and you have $1, what do you get? You get them junk.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And that's the craft. That's the different food that you can get cheap that's just no good for you. And when you have limited resources, you get what you can get. Your kids complain when they're hungry. But if they don't eat nutritious food, they get sick. They stay home from school. If you don't have any food, they can't even think if they're in school. So that's the issue. It's getting them something to eat, but getting something nutritious to eat. And I don't know where you can produce a meal for a quarter other than with what we do. But when you can produce that much volume and give the meals away for free, we're going to hit our 4 millionth meal right before Thanksgiving. Harvard's doing a package. I'm going to be in Pennsylvania doing one. And those two groups together are going to get us over 4 million meals. That's a lot of hungry people, and we've raised $1 million over those years to do that because it's a quarter a serving.
Now, what did you say? Like, it was $5 could feed 5 families?
Yeah, so I drive all over the place, and there's a Five Guys and Fries thing that says, feed your family for $5, $20 or something, whatever it is. Well, if you put $5 into our meals, since it's a quarter a serving, you're going to feed 20 people a meal for $5. Awesome. I have trouble feeding myself for $5.
No, with the meal, it's just food. There's no beverage, right?
Yeah. So what it is, we talk about meals, servings. It's the same idea. Both of the meals. I mean, you know how to make mac and cheese. It's basically you boil water, you pour it in, you stir it up, you put a little butter and a little milk in there, and you serve it. Our other meal is even simpler. It's just boil water and stir in the rice and beans and dehydrated veggies and the soy protein and all that. But when it comes out, you get a bag. You pour it in there, it'll feed a family of 6. It costs us $1.50 to produce. Wow. So it's a quarter a serving. $1 feeds a family of 4. So if you're ever driving around town and you see my cargo van on the side that says Kids Care and that says that slogan, that's real. A quarter feeds a kid, $1 feeds a family of 4. That's what we do.
It's amazing. So let's get back to the information. EndHungerNewEngland.org or Facebook.
Yep. So if you're on Facebook, just type in End Hunger, NE. Like I said, the NE stands for New England or Northeast. So if you're anywhere in New England, New York, Pennsylvania, or New Jersey, like us, and you'll find out about all the stuff that we're doing. So you can keep up with it, and you can partner with folks. We've worked with 510 different groups now. So if you want to do an event, we've probably worked with 10 other groups in your county. And you can partner and do events together. It brings together the most motley crew of people ever. We've got atheist humanists at Harvard that are doing another event, their 4th. They're going to package 50,000 meals to put us over the 4 million meal mark. They've gotten everybody involved. Sanctuary here in Marshfield, houses, they just host the events. We just did our 6th event. We've now packaged 174,500 meals for the South Shore. Wow. This little tiny church. It was a church that was closing, a Methodist church. They gave it to this new church there called Sanctuary. There's a Pudding Hill preschools there, and we draw people from all over. Pastor Mark Huber figures we've worked with 900 volunteers at this point over those 6 events.
That's fantastic. What's such great work. I also think, don't you think if people knew, I mean, you're talking about 97% goes back to the charity. I mean, what do you think, I mean, up here in the Northeast, with all our resources that we have, do you know we're the least givers in the country?
Yeah.
Massachusetts.
Well, but everywhere you go, there's people, especially New England, it's so parochial. You want to help people across the street, not across the pond necessarily.
Right.
This is what we're doing. We're feeding the people in your neighborhood, in your community.
I living in Florida too, they're gracious down there as well. Everybody that I know here will give you the shirt off their back. I mean, I just don't get why we wouldn't know that for $5 you could feed a family with a nutritious meal for $5.
Feed 20 people for $5.
Kudos to you, Brian, for bringing this out. And I think that this is what we got to do: is we got to talk about this, get them out there, and if you can go and just got extra money. You said $2,400 at Christmas time. People aren't even Christians. Half that stuff's crap from China anyways.
Yep.
So if you were to just tell your son or daughter that this week we're going to be giving Thanksgiving comes around and we all talk about hunger, but it really ends there. This is something that you could give every single day to. And I'll tell you, if you had a line of 10 people here now and you asked them to make a donation, they would.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, thanks. We're going to move off to the next segment, but we're going to keep Matt here. Representative Tom Coulter of the local Kingston, Plymouth, Halifax, he represents a number of towns, was supposed to be here today. He's not able to make it. He's in session at the State House. I got a text message from him. I guess he's going to be in session till midnight tonight. So not only is he going to miss the show, he's probably going to miss a lot of shows after this. But what he was coming in is to talk about some other problems, most notably in the schools with the trying to house public schools with the police resource officers, especially off the heels of the last couple of weeks with the horrific slaying of the teacher by a student in Danvers, Massachusetts. In Nevada, a young boy going in with a gun and shooting faculty, killing a teacher and wounding other students. Tom Coulter has filed legislation, in his jurisdiction to have resource officers in all the schools. He's the first representative that's done anything like this. So basically, he stuck his neck out, and he believes in this. A lot of people believe in this, and he's found out a way where the state kicks in a certain percentage along with what the community kicks in. So in concert, if the community can kick in X amount over what the tax rate is, the state matches it with a 50% incentive. And that would help this situation. Now, we've all heard about these horrific shootings. Jay, you're a school teacher.
I am.
You're a school teacher in Scituate.
Scituate.
And I can only imagine what it's like nowadays. When you're going to work, I'm sure there's got to be some anxiety on a daily basis almost.
Well, there are times that can be challenging, like after these tragedies that happen, but I have to tell you that as opposed to a resource officer in situations like that, really, again, looking at the school community and thinking about the kids as a team and getting the kids all on the same page with the teachers as humans in the school, as people who care about the school community, and other students and other teachers, and having everybody being able to work in cohesion, that's really the important thing. And it's been actually really nice to see. It's very difficult sometimes to communicate in these situations and to explain the seriousness of these situations. But it's been really nice to see over the years because, of course, I've been teaching for a long time, way before any of this stuff ever happened. And to see the evolution of this and to see actually the kids fall into line, understand how important it is. So it's not like a situation where you'd have a fire drill back in the old days and everybody go, it's a sunny day kind of thing.
Right.
To see kids actually take to heart that this is a very, very important event and to act responsibly and be committed to the taking care of each other really was the
overall
thing.
goal. But
right.
What I like about the bill is the fact that it's really prevention.
You know what? That's exactly what it is. Preventative measures.
And
right.
Danvers hits hard for us because we have a club up there, and we were actually up there the day that it happened, and my heart goes out to that community and what they've gone through. And if you had we talked about this, Brian, after it happened. If they had a resource officer, maybe that he would have detected something wrong, or it's somebody that somebody can go to. And if they're getting bullied or if they see something, I think in the long run it's going to save crime, because there's still a lot of drugs in the schools. And if you had a resource, if you have a resource officer and his job is to make sure you got a cop in every school, it's going to prevent somebody from saying, you know what, I'm going to go in there and whatever they're thinking bad about the school, they might think twice with the resource officer.
Now, ultimately, Tom Coulter brought that up too. His concern not only is the shootings, but the drugs. Right. Because drugs now, they're coming in all shapes and sizes. And
Molly and all that other crap that these guys... these kids are teenagers. I mean, if you want to talk about 21 years old, your brain has stopped developing. But when we talk about kids, right. And people that say, oh, it's all right to give a kid a beer before he turns... No, it's not. His mind is growing. Let his mind grow, and then they can do whatever they want. But I think more parents need to take that drugs is a problem. And
so many
issues. How do we get to that? And a resource officer is a great idea.
Well, of course, and citizensforchildrensafety.org is a website to go to. Once again, it's Citizens for Children's Safety, an organization that is exclusively trying to house police resource officers in all the schools. Like, each community has their own set of ideas, what they think how many they should have. Like, I know Marshfield has one right now, but my position is, why do we have one resource officer covering one school when there's 7 schools? So how do you pick what school is going to be safe? And it's money. Mm-hmm. Of course it's money, Jay, and it's money. But at the end of the day, we're seeing like Paul said, bullying. This helps minimize that. The drugs, it might help minimize that. How about sexual predators and offenders? Right. That's a huge, even teachers in the schools. There's teachers that are...
Absolutely. And the thing is, this resource officer too, with the technology that we have, God, we can go into a country and find out what bedroom you're living in and across the country. Mm-hmm. Why can't we have stuff to protect children? So there is a button in the teacher's office that automatically can push and the guy's locked in, or the perpetrator is locked in. Why don't we, all assault, we should have a ban on assault weapons. That's just a no-brainer. And
correct.
If people in Alabama want the assault weapons in their place, that's fine. But here in Massachusetts, we don't allow that. And we do have stricter gun laws.
Well, the small issue about the assault weapons, too, is the bad guys always seem to find them, regardless.
Right. Yeah, it's always these young kids on drugs.
Whether they're legal or not, if a guy wants to get an assault weapon, he will find an assault weapon. If you're an 18-year-old kid, you'll go, even if it's not a gun show, they'll go steal one from somebody's parents or whatever.
Right, but if they got it legally, then all these people that sold it to them aren't criminals. But in fact, they should be criminals, because you sold them a weapon that they went in. You didn't care. You didn't do a background check.
Right.
So,
so somebody's accountable.
So, at least somebody's accountable for it. They're going to find the gun who sold it. And guess what? That guy's not going to sign a gun other than...
He might go to jail. That might be
if that's the law. If not, then he just sold them the candy. Hey, I don't know what he did with it.
There's another thing to put on the table, though. The idea of any kind of a police officer in a school, you have to remember that these tragedies usually happen within about 30 or 40 seconds. And one police officer, yes, that can be a deterrent, and that can help in a lot of ways. But in many, many cases in these situations, these things happen very quickly. Schools are big places, and the other dilemma here is that a school is a place of freedom, learning, and these kinds of things where kids need to feel comfortable. They need to feel comfortable. You don't want to make it a penitentiary. The real question here, and this goes back to the hunger thing too. I find it hard to believe that there's this much hunger in this country. How can we put a man on the moon and we can't solve these problems? And this idea of violence in schools, where have we gone the past 25 years where now we're being concerned about this? This should not be happening in this country. And whether it's weapons, whether it's failures in the mental health industry, whether it's, whatever it is, it just should not be going down like that. We should not be having to discuss this at all.
Well, there's a lot of questions, and it's a different age. It's 2013, and it's not 1972 anymore. And it's a completely different set of dynamics, especially with this generation. So, on that note, we're going to jump off the commercial break. We'll be right back. Friends with Benefits 95.9 WATD.
God bless America. This is your blood brother, Ted Nugent, saluting and celebrating the July 3rd celebration with Brian Stratton and the Citizens for Children's Safety at the Green Harbor waterfront for a July 3rd celebration of the ultimate American dream.
The law office of Philip M. Markella is a full-service law firm with a focus on family and divorce law. When your marriage dissolves, Phil's office will help you navigate those often rough waters. They'll represent your interests with respect and compassion. The law office of Philip M. Markella also assists with estate planning, real estate transactions, and adoptions. Get in touch with the law office of Philip M. Markella, 19 Depot Street, Duxbury. Their telephone number, 781-934-7977, 781-934-7977, and on the web at markellalaw.com. That's MARKELLA law.com.
My name is Chris Kelly, owner of Duxbury Motor Works, and I've been in the automotive service industry for about 20 years.
My name's Joe Dio. I'm partners with Chris at Duxbury Motor Works. People might know me as a former general manager of Green Automotive.
We are the dealer alternative.
It was an idea that Chris and I both had after working in the dealership environment. We want to be the friend in the business that everyone might say they have and feel comfortable, get your vehicle serviced by people that you can get to know and trust.
We fix everything at Duxbury Motor Works. If it has wheels and a motor, bring it to us.
We warranty everything that we do for 3 years, 36,000 miles. We do a full check over on every vehicle that comes in from stem to stern. We let you know what your vehicle is going to need now and also what might be coming up that we can see.
We help them prioritize in terms of what is important to do now for safety reasons and the things that can wait for budget concerns.
Duxbury Motor Works, 1474 Tremont Street in Duxbury, right at the corners of 3A and 139. Call us at 781-452-7471.
Experience the Atlantis Sports Club difference. Atlantis Sports Club and Spas are located throughout Massachusetts, including locations in Braintree, Holbrook, and Hyannis, featuring state-of-the-art cardiovascular and strength training equipment, plus indoor and outdoor pools and full-service spas. Atlantis offers something for everyone. How about Zumba, spinning, and strength training classes, swim lessons for the kids, or a luxurious spa treatment? Your Atlantis membership allows access to all locations. Atlantis Braintree, located off the highway across from the South Shore Plaza, features beautiful indoor and outdoor pools. You'll find the newest Holbrook location next to Stop and Shop with plenty of parking and a spacious floor plan. Take a mini vacation at Atlantis Sports Club and Spa in Hyannis. Play golf, then relax by the resort-style pool. End the day with a relaxing treatment at the spa at Atlantis. Mention this ad and receive 20% off any spa treatment. Experience the Atlantis difference today. Visit AtlantisSportsClubs.com and book your tour today. Impressions Detailing of Duxbury is your #1 source for auto detailing on the South Shore. Owner Mike Ferreira and his staff have years of auto detailing experience. Located next to Jeeps and Buggies on 1474 Tremont Street of Duxbury, Impressions Detailing also provides window tinting and headlight restoration. They service sedans, small SUVs, and large SUVs or trucks. Contact Impressions Detailing at 781-934-2935 or by email at impressionsdetail@yahoo.com. That telephone number again, 781-934-2935. Impressions Detailing of Duxbury.
.9 WATD, little Ozzy Osbourne here. Friends with Benefits. Sharon Osbourne was in the news today.
Was she? What's going on with her?
She's on The View or something, or she was on The View, or she's a big proponent of Barbara Walters, but she could give a damn about anybody else. So. Yeah. But anyways, we've talked about hunger with Matt. We've talked about the police resource officers, and we'll get Representative Tom Coulter on about that next week. But now, I'm going to foreshadow into next week's show a little bit. We'll give a little sneak preview. And Mr. Kearney brought from Atlantis Sports Clubs brought up something he found online, CNN. And this is it's not a rhetorical question. This is, I want to get some feedback. Do men who help out with the chores in the house, do they get luckier as a whole?
Depends how good you are at cleaning, I think.
Yeah. Mopping the kitchen floor always helps.
Well, I guess what this is alluding to is if you're taking out the trash, if you're mowing the lawn.
Trash is easy.
If you're milking the cow, if you I don't know what the cow.
Well, I mean, that's...
I mean, my position is I think I agree with this article about if they help out. I think it's a huge attraction, or it's very appealing to a female because it shows initiative. What, Jay?
We've talked about this before. It's got to be a 50-50 thing, 60-40 thing. You got to be somewhere in the middle.
She mows 50% of the lawn, and you mow 50%. What are you talking about?
You can mop the floor. She can mow the lawn. You can mow the lawn. She can mop the floor. But you can't be one of these. You do 90% of the work, and you do 10% of the work. That's not attractive at all.
Well, a lot of guys do 10% of the work, don't they?
Right. Well, that's kind of a given.
They're watching football on Sunday from 1 o'clock to 11 o'clock at night, 10 hours, and she's cooking the lunch and the meal, sweeping the floor, vacuuming, doing the laundry. And
the guy sitting keeping score, like, all right, you didn't do your 50-50. No, that's not going to work, guys. You got to get in there and help. I mean, it's something that I agree totally with that article. I think that if you take some time and just clean up a little bit extra, you get a little bit extra. In anything, you get extra out of your relationship, and you get extra out of you get to enjoy it.
But there are things that guys do. There are things that women do. Women are always good at. You get that little string hanging out of your sweater. Like if I got out, me, I'll take it and I'll pull it. The whole sweater will unravel. A woman can take that, bang, it's got the thing. Whereas, I probably hook up a stereo. Hey, hook up the old stereo, like that kind of thing. So there's sort of a domain there too.
No, I think I would say that. Do you think that guys get luckier that help out around the house? That's the question, and I would say yes.
And maybe just do the extras that not what they're obligated to do, but maybe exceeding expectations a little bit and actually surprising their significant others. Wow, I didn't expect you to fold the laundry.
Right.
Well, you're like, well, it just came out of the dryer and it's hot, and you were in the shower and.
You're
I just
hot,
figured I'd do it. Yeah.
That's one chore I probably wouldn't do, and I still haven't done.
Most men are.
Really?
There are limitations.
What about like making the beds? You guys make your beds?
Yeah. See, that's something I would
Jay
do.
looks like you could work for the Marriott.
I'm a pro. I did work for the Marriott. Yeah.
I bet you did. Making beds.
Yeah. Not making beds though.
Matt, you make your bed?
I make 3 beds in my house every morning.
Do you really?
There you go.
I find it daunting and very hard to construct that. It's because it's always uneven or it's wrinkly, and I'm like, it looks like worse than how I woke up in the thing. You know what I mean?
So I've been married 17 years, and I know if my wife is tired, she's going to go to bed and sleep. So if I don't help out a little bit, she's just going to be tired all the time.
There you go. That's a perfect. So that's a great answer to that question. If you help out a little bit, now she's got more energy for you.
Yep.
There you go.
Well, I mean, maybe that's where this article is heading.
Right.
That's what they're alluding to. But, I think as a whole, when you do that little extra, even at like work.
Right.
Say you're at work and you're like, you have many employees. Do you notice the ones that do that little extra?
Yeah. And
how do you feel about them?
I love them.
And you try to take care of them?
Absolutely. And you just see it. You can see it in their pride, and when they sell a membership or they get somebody healthy, and it's
good for you as a
contagious too.
Right.
I mean, if you have that aura about you that you're that type of person that's going to lift people up, I mean, that's the person you want to be. And you're right, that's going to help your relationship. You're going to get luckier. You're going to have more people. You're going to have more friends. People are going to be one around you than somebody that's going to be counting scores.
Right.
And
really, the old adage, luck is the residue of hard work.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Right?
I don't know if they were talking about this kind of luck, though.
As a guy, any kind of luck helps.
Luck is luck.
Luck is luck. Yeah. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, right?
That's right.
So, I mean,
say that all
it is what it is. But, I certainly know from my past in seeing certain work environments, whether I'm part of it or not, you can kind of tell the lazy people and the ones that take initiative. And the ones that take initiative always seem good things follow. And everybody's like, that's karma. But there's a certain energy out there.
Work.
You know what I mean?
Luck favors the prepared.
That's a good one, too.
Yeah.
That's a good one, too. So, Tracy, what do you think? This is Paul's wife, Tracy. What's your take on this position?
Tell us about the dryer.
I know. Has he helped out at all?
Come on here.
She can hear everything.
Paul Kearney doesn't know how to use the dryer or the dishwasher.
Does he do that little extra?
Or the dishwasher.
He does try to help,
And I
right?
like what Matt said. You'll have more energy if
Yeah.
the work is here.
You do? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense, and that's at the end of the day.
But
that's
no,
what it's all
I'll
about.
definitely clean the room, make the bed, stuff like that. But
Right.
I also do all the
this study,
landscaping too.
this article's talking about
Landscaping, yes.
Landscaping.
Yes.
Well,
I mean,
that's
outside-
generally most men take that like 80%.
Get you out of the
Do you
house.
do your own yard, Brian?
Of course.
Do you?
We live in a parsonage, so they take care
Oh,
of
so
the-
you're yeah. I
Which
mean,
helps. Jay?
I take care of my own yard, and that's like a whole job in itself. It's unbelievable. It's a huge yard.
It's
a lot of work.
It's like a farm. It is a farm, actually.
But I mean, listen, I think to a woman, there's sometimes nothing more attractive. I mean, you can look as great as you want on a Friday night or Saturday night. When she sees the guy down the basement cleaning that thing, packing the barrels with trash, putting them at the end of the street. They love looking at that. They love that. Don't you agree,
They
Trace?
love garbage men.
They love
They
it.
do.
They absolutely no, but they love just the idea that you're getting something done productive, and
and it feels good to do it yourself.
sometimes
But I think this would allude to men helping with women's chores.
that's true too.
That's the difference.
Getting that stuff out of the dryer or doing the dishes.
Yeah.
Well, I hear Steely Dan in the background. That means we got to go. Thanks, Matthew Martin from Outreach. EndHungerNE.org is his website. Paul Kearney, Atlanta Sports Clubs.
Thanks, Brian.
Jay Gillespie,
Thanks, Brian.
Tracy, and I'm Brian Stratton, Friends with Benefits. We'll see you next week.